kicking for you like it's 9-3. You see, Rob impact the mic, keeping it real, G. Talk about relationships, money, and health. Dropping knowledge while I'm spitting it, that's a wealth.
Complex conversations, we break it down. Pop culture topics, we hold it down. Dive deep into society's complexities. Educate, entertain, never rest in it. Complex
Context, where the truth unfolds. Analyzing life through stories untold. Rob impact, dropping knowledge every day.
Unpacking life's complexities, one topic at a time. You're listening to Complex Context. Here is your host, Rob Impact.
Coming at you from the home of the 2024 NBA champion Boston Celtics, this is Complex Context, and I'm Rob Impact. I'm really glad that you're here with me for another week of discussion and banter about all kinds of things, little and big, because let's be honest, this is the place where we unpack life's complexities, one topic at a time. I do want to send my sincere thanks to the Boston Celtics for an entertaining season of basketball. Obviously, I'm happy that they won the finals. They did it in 5 games. Yeah, man, it was fantastic. I'm also happy in a weird way that it is over because I haven't had the sleep schedule that I need to, and I'll get into that later in the show. But now with the finals over, there isn't this feeling of having to stay up and watch and make sure that they have it. All right, they got the job done. So, yeah, man, Boston Celtics, thank you very much. My shirt's in the mail. I hope yours is too. And if you're a Dallas fan, I'm sorry. There's always next year, I guess. I'm not going to be one of those guys that comes and talks smack because I think that's just ridiculous. I know there's people that are like, oh, it's just fun to do. And I'm like, no, not really. If you're just rooting for a particular team, just keep it at that, man. You don't have to put down someone else's team for that. So congratulations, Celtics. Mavericks fans, you did a really nice job. I hope next year you have better luck. That's all I can say. How has your week been? Mine has been really good. It's also been a little tumultuous. We've had in the United States many areas where the heat has just been unbelievable last week. And this week there's going to be a couple days where it seems like it's going to repeat. I'm not looking forward to that. I can't imagine there's a lot of people that would, but that's just the way it is and what we have to look forward to. So I'm kind of already over the 90-plus degree days here in the United States. As a lifelong Massachusetts resident, you would think I would be used to it by now, but as I slowly continue to get older, it's harder for me and my body to comfortably adjust to such temperature changes. It's not that I'm against it, it's just I wish that there was a little bit more of a consistency. To give you an example, at the time of recording this, it's going to be about 20 degrees hotter tomorrow than it is in the current time where we're recording this broadcast. So, I mean, yeah, that's summertime, that's Massachusetts, but again, as a lifelong resident, you would think I would be used to it by now. I think I'm just turning into that old guy that's bitter and says, you know, why can't things be the same? Like, stop changing. I don't want to be that guy. I'm just getting there organically. So that kind of took a little bit of wind out of my sails having to deal with that. And with what I do for work, I have to be mindful of the HVAC in the particular building that I'm in. So, of course, as I thought we were going to get past the 3 worst days of the continual heat wave, that didn't happen. At the end of that 3-day period, I had to stay late and wait for an emergency HVAC call technician to come on site. It just turned into this crap show, and it riled up my anxiety. It just wasn't fun. So I'm all set already with the high temperatures, except for when it's the beach. And even at that, I don't want it to be in the 90s. I want it to be maybe like low to mid 80s. That would be most ideal. I know I can't pick and choose, but I'm going to have my preference, right? As you do. And for us beachgoers or people that would like to go, yeah, 80s, that's fine. As soon as you get into the 90s, I can't tell the difference. When you have the meteorologists that say, oh, it's going to be, say, 92, but it's going to feel like 100. To be honest with you, I can't tell the difference of feeling between those two temperatures, other than maybe the humidity hits you harder. But in terms of how the sun beams down on you, I can't tell a difference. Can you? I don't know. I would be interested in hearing from you. So that's what's going around the area, is a lot of hotness and discomfort from people here in Complex Context World. But hopefully you, my Complex crew, are in an area where it's more comfortable. And if you are, man, consider yourself lucky, because I would very much like that right now. I'm already ready for kind of end of summer weather, but not the end of summer. I'll touch on that a little bit later in the show. I'd like to give some love to all of our Complex crew, which is all around the world. You guys are awesome. You continue to show love, and thank you as always for that. It's very humbling, and I appreciate it a lot. Shouts to everybody in the world. I'll give a shout this week to Russia. Hello, how are you? Shout going to the folks in Quebec. I hope you are all nice and well and fine and dandy. And for the United States, I have some special shouts going out to the folks over in Pennsylvania, Illinois, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Your listenership and support mean a lot, and I would encourage you to reach out. Let me know, how do you like Complex Context? What subject matter would you like to discuss? Are there any questions about life or life's complexities that we can talk about on the air, and you can get the mindset from a middle-aged Massachusetts dad who's turned into an introvert and is very hobby-centric and creative? Yeah, that's kind of who you have right here in Rob Impact. I'm happy to read, provide feedback, and interact and get your ideas on the show. I'll give that info later on. Oddly enough, it rained just prior to recording this week's episode, and a new electric scooter came in and was delivered. It was one that I ordered because after my daughter wanted one and has been riding around one, and I gave it a little bit of a try. I said, of course, this is a fun thing, but I could see this being very useful for going just around the neighborhood too. There's a tiny park down the street. I lived here for, goodness, I want to say 13 years, and I have never been down to that park just because there's no real way to get there without a little bit of a walk. It's a little bit too far of a walk for my liking. It's certainly not justifiable to drive there. Plus, there's no parking anyways. This park is kind of like in the middle of an island, a road island, and not the state. I mean an island for the road. And there's a few benches. A lot of the community comes together to keep it nice and tidy. And I drive by it often and I go, I wonder what it would be like just to sit down and relax. So to have a scooter to be able to go there and just chill, or go to the store down the street, maybe pick up a special beverage if I feel like I want to treat myself, that would be awesome. So I now have this electric scooter and I gave it one quick test ride because right prior to recording, the rain stopped. And I said, okay, there's no splashback that can occur because the road itself is relatively dry, minus a few of the corners. And I was probably cruising at a decent 11 miles an hour average, and it felt really nice. So I'm looking forward to having some legitimate excuses and to have fun, of course. You don't want to just take it too seriously, but to have that capability of saying, I don't feel like getting the car keys out just to go down the street and relax or get something that is not a necessity, but something that you just desire. Having that option, I think, is going to make things pretty cool. I do have to invest in a helmet because, let's be honest, folks, you got to have safety. I'm not going to fall off, knock my head on the ground because I wanted to pick up a beverage at the local corner store. It's just not a good look at all. Do you happen to do the same thing in terms of alternate transportation? Do you participate in, say, an electric scooter, an electric bike, a motorcycle, or maybe, what do you call those things? I think mopeds. Do you have anything like that, or do you have interest in that? I would be most interested in hearing from you. So make sure you reach out to us. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/complexcontext1. We're also on X, the former Twitter. Our username is @complexcontext1. And you can send us any of your emails, complexcontextshow@yahoo.com. I recently had the discussion with my wife about this new concept because I found myself continuing to keep myself up later at night than what I need to. And by that I mean I had no real good reason for staying up as late as I have been. And it's gotten to the point where I think that's contributed to a little bit of my anxiety over the past week, especially when it came to the HVAC situation at my work, in which I had to stay later, much later than normal, as I discussed earlier in the show. And part of the anxiety was self-induced in relation to my lack of sleep. But why did I have a lack of sleep? It was strictly my own fault. I decided to stay up for a few nights consecutively, well beyond what I should have. And I wasn't doing anything of any grand importance. It was me being up on my phone, looking at things that I was hoping to look at during my lunch break or after work that I didn't have the time to because I either had appointments or I wanted to spend time with my family. So in looking at this, I said there's got to be something that this is called. Everything has a name these days, and I'm not too sure it's a good thing. I'm not too sure it's a bad thing, but I do know it is reassuring, I suppose, at the very least, because concepts like this, when they have let's call it an official name. I'm not too sure what makes it official, but a named entity that most people can refer to, it's usually something that is significant enough for enough people to have that relatability where someone goes, okay, this is what we're going to call it. So I went researching into why I was staying up so late for no real good reason, and I came across an answer. I believe it is related to this concept called revenge bedtime procrastination, which in itself sounds half clinical and half cool. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's not a bad name, but it's also a name that makes me feel regretful and embarrassed to have a self-developed issue at hand. According to the Sleep Foundation, which you can find at sleepfoundation.org, revenge bedtime procrastination describes the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time that is driven by a daily schedule lacking in free time. For people in high-stress jobs that take up the bulk of their day, revenge bedtime procrastination is a way to find a few hours of entertainment, even though it results in insufficient sleep. My first encounter with this concept was thankfully in part to a YouTube video from this licensed marriage and family therapist. Her name is Katie Morton. I would highly recommend you look up this video from her because this is fantastic. Look up Revenge Bedtime Procrastination, Katie Morton, and you'll have a sweet 9 or so minute video where she goes over this and really summarizes it extremely well. I'm inclined to check her out more and see what other topics she covers, but I'm usually very picky with that. I only have two resources I trust going to, aside from my therapist, for any kind of life advice or guidance on these types of things. But I was very impressed with this. So regardless of that, this concept described what was going on with me perfectly, or I should say what's currently going on with me. So revenge bedtime procrastination is essentially my deciding that because I did not get leisure time that was suitable for me, whether I feel that it provides me a balance or I just deserve it, or you get hooked into something and you're not ready to abandon it because you know the next time that you're going to be awake, you have to get ready and go to work and all that. So I have been, for a few nights consecutively, been staying up late in bed with a phone in hand for no reason, which is probably the worst thing you could do, especially for someone who is of the middle-aged kind, like yours truly. It's one thing when you're in your 20s or your 30s and you want to do something like that. Of course, your body has a better opportunity to bounce back and kind of shrug it off. Now, I'm not saying forever, of course, it can catch up to anybody, but it's easier for people that are slightly younger to be able to tolerate that better. And I don't know if it's my not willing to accept that I'm not able to be as resilient as I was, say, 10 years ago, or if it's just my ignorance in not finding out until it's too late. But it's clear at this point this is attributing to anxiety kind of poking its ugly head around the corner saying, hey, I'm here just in case you need me. And I'm like, oh, please go away. But it's really my own fault. It's my own fault. And I asked my wife, upon sharing this information about this concept, this revenge bedtime procrastination, I said, I need you to get on me as much as you need to every night to make sure that I go to bed on time. This is non-negotiable. And I'm hoping that with her assistance and watchful eye, I'll continue to get myself back on track to a more routine schedule, one that will accommodate my mind and my body and make me feel good. Of course, I have other things that I participate in that do that anyways. I do DDP yoga. If you don't know what that's about, we can discuss that on a later episode, or you can reach out to me on social media or email. I would highly recommend it. This is a great yoga program that you can do from the comfort of your home or anywhere. You can do it on an app or you can do it in other fashions, but I won't get into that. So I do DDP yoga usually 4 to 5 times a week after work, and I go see my therapist every week. I feel as though I've changed my diet pretty, I don't want to say substantially, but pretty respectably as far as the intake of certain sugars or calories or items in general, cut back a lot on red meat. So I feel that there are many things in place that have really helped get me back on track in general and kind of overcome the anxiety that came out of nowhere. It initially was an issue for me last year, at the end of last summer. I've come a long way, and there are still times where it's a little bit rough, and there's methods to getting around that. But in wanting to make sure that I stay on the up and up, this revenge bedtime procrastination is not helping me at all. And it's a little embarrassing. It's really brought on by your own decision to say, hey, I can sacrifice sleep because I deserve time for me. I deserve to be able to watch what I want to watch or look at what I want to look at. And if I can't do it during normal hours, damn it, I'm going to do it now when I should be sleeping. Oh, it's awful. But it's a realistic concept that I'm relating to 100%. So is it justified? I think everybody deserves their own time, right? A lunch break during work isn't necessarily a feel-good moment. By that I mean you're still in an environment which is probably not your first choice, and it's really a means to make sure that you're eating when you should, but it's not really a time where you get to be as comfortable and relaxed and delve into certain things, whether it's mindlessness or news or communication on your phone, as you might want to do when you're in a more comfortable environment. So some of those opportunities kind of get lost in the shuffle, and because of that, they end up getting pushed to the back of the line, which is where your bedtime is. So you figure if I can't do it any other time, I leave work, come home, spend time with family, genuinely want to talk to them, find out how their day is, have some dinner, spend time with the pets as well, maybe pay a bill or two, maybe watch one TV show. And before you know it, your day is over and it's time to go to bed. So where do you fit that time in? Some people will say once you become a parent, you just don't get that time. And it's a different situation for different family scenarios. I don't want to get into that because that's a separate conversation. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have focus on time with your children and interact. One of the best things I could do is come home and review schoolwork and help out with homework. I love doing that with my daughter. And it provides an opportunity for me to teach her in addition to being taught by the teachers at her school. And I think that's important for a child to understand. You can learn great concepts well beyond school, just through your own family or friends. So I wouldn't want to sacrifice that. So where do you fit in that time? There really isn't an appropriate answer for that. So you end up having to sacrifice something. Well, what do you sacrifice? Sleep. And that's where this concept comes in. It's, I guess, eye-opening, among other things, because knowing that some people are participating in the same fashion that I am, I guess it's a little bit reassuring to know that it's not just me, that this is a concept, but it doesn't make me feel better that en masse there is a population that goes through this same thing. Regarding the video that I recommended to you, there was one comment that was provided, and I really related to it, and it is from a user at Aggies924. Excuse me if I mispronounced your username. And the comment said, "It's so hard being an introverted, hobby-based person and stuck at a boring desk job for 10 hours a day. I do this all the time because I feel like my life has no meaning otherwise." It was a very profound comment and one that I mostly related to. I can't say I can relate to the part about not feeling like I have meaning otherwise. I know I'm a very creative and loving and sensitive and, I suppose, dreamful person as far as what I want my next chapter for my career path to be and what I want to continue to do for my own personal hobbies. Other than that, I've come to the conclusion, yes, I've been an introvert. I don't know for how long. I think that's another thing that's kind of developed as I've gotten older. And I am very hobby-based. I do have many interests that I enjoy having participation in and being able to not just physically and mentally, but emotionally become tied into. And when you have to put all of that aside for the sake of maintaining a schedule that involves strictly getting ready for the day, going to a job, trying to do the best you can with as much consistency for the long haul of your shift as possible, make the commute back, get that family time and that pet time that you want and deserve and that they all deserve, maybe get in a show, if you're lucky, or pay a bill, or get up to date on the latest happenings from the family that you want to interact about and kind of put the schedule together. Okay, cool. And then after all of that, nothing. Rinse and repeat. And this is where I have a problem with how the United States of business treats its people and the expectations. This has nothing to do with flexibility of having time off, if that is or is not a case in your particular situation. This has more to do with people are being put in a position where they feel they don't have the right time to be able to involve themselves in what they can vent about and relax into and just kind of become mindless. Do what they want to do. Do a hobby for the sake of a hobby. Do something selfish. And when I say selfish, I don't mean spend $100 on a pair of pants. I mean continue reading a book because it makes you happy. Or, as I mentioned earlier, go to the corner store and buy a beverage because you know what? 2 hours ago, that craving hit you a certain way and you said, I haven't had that in a while. I want to get that. But you can't always do those things when you have such a regimented schedule of responsibilities and nope, you can't get outside of that, or nope, as soon as you do, you're going to sacrifice something that benefits not just you, but other people in your family that you love. So it's all about scheduling and trying to fit things in. And this goes to a very awkward cliche that I don't like, as far as people saying, well, there's just not enough time. Well, I'm not one for cliches. There's a couple that I don't mind, but that's one of them that I just really don't enjoy one bit. There's not enough time. Really? Not enough time? Because if you're awake for, say, 16 and a half hours a day, you're telling me that taking an hour to an hour and a half for yourself, strictly for yourself, is not something that's warranted or should not be as major of a concern or a goal of yours as what some people think that it should be. I think that's absolute crap. Everybody deserves time for themselves. And particular people who might be more introverted, again, I'm getting to that point, or I should say, if you were to ask my wife, I'm at that point. A lot of introverts need that chill time, that come down time. So if you can't get it during the day and have it be quality and not have it be, well, just take 10 minutes in the break room. No. That doesn't count. You understand that I'm taking a break because you need a mental refresh. You need to eat and drink and keep yourself going. It's really just a means to an end, which is finishing the shift. There seems to be some indication that this is a control thing. And I loosely agree with that because you feel as though, as you should, you want to control your destiny. You want to control your ability to make yourself feel fulfilled. I don't see any problem with that. Everybody should have that ability. I understand that there's going to be days where we don't, and we have to be okay with that. But when it becomes a cycle and a regular occurrence where you're missing out on this time, that to me is not acceptable. You cannot make up for it in other ways. You'll either get it or you don't. So we should be able to schedule that in. Of course, this leads to things like sleep deprivation, which contributes towards physical health and mental health becoming bad, potentially cardiovascular issues, all kinds of things, right? And especially when you're talking about a situation like mine where you're on the phone during that time that you stay up, you're looking at blue light. And blue light, affects your ability to go to sleep. That video that I mentioned earlier, she will go into it. That Katie Morton, she just covers this wonderfully. So she'll expand upon the whole blue light and how it affects your brain and chemicals that help you go to sleep. So there really is very little benefit other than kind of tricking yourself into feeling fulfilled. Now, in the short term, sure, you feel like you gain that. In the long term, you feel like crap. And I am looking forward to getting away from this. Again, thanks to my wife and telling her and sharing this information and knowing that she's going to make sure that I stick to it, I'm looking forward to getting to a better place. But how do we, as a society, make it so that we get that cool down time that we all deserve? Is this something that you do? Or is this something that you know a family member or a friend does, and it's affecting their sharpness and their physical and mental well-being, that they say that they were up late? And when you ask, well, what were you doing? Well, I was watching TV, or I was on my phone. Is it really something that was fulfilling or a necessity in the long term? No, they were probably trying to make up for lost time. So how do we, in this United States of business that I live in and my family and friends do, how do we make it so that our society and specifically business culture understands that there's going to be a greater necessity as we continue to go forward? And I will applaud Gen Z right now because I think they really are taking this as seriously as anybody could. And I hope that they continue to run with it, because this isn't just a selfishness thing. This is a quality of life. This is a mental reassurance or a mental appeasing thing. And it's not something that we should take lightly. This is by no means saying don't focus on work. Listen, we all have a means of survival here. And for most of us, it's our work. There is a population, and I hope it's a small one, that their liveliness is based off of work. If that's your thing, that's fine. I will let you have that as long as you are as respectful and let me have mine, which is I need time every single day, even if it's an hour, to be able to not commit to a particular family function, to a particular appointment, just a quote-unquote throwaway hour where you can do whatever you want. I think everybody deserves that. And if they want to take that hour and use it towards something that's already on the schedule, let us be the judge of if we're going to do that or not. Everybody has that right. Let me know what you think. Revenge, bedtime, procrastination. Can you relate? What do you think about this topic? Is this an issue that you know someone is facing? Do you think it's all just a bunch of fluff? Let us know at Complex Context 1 on X, the old Twitter, Facebook.com/Complex Context 1, and Complex Context Show at Yahoo.com. You know, I usually don't do something like this while I'm recording, but my order of Domino's just came in and was delivered to the Complex Context studio, and boy, does this pizza look great. I have a large New York style crust with feta cheese on the whole thing. Actually, it looks like, oh man, I'm not sure there is feta cheese on there. They have the half beef on there, but I think they forgot my feta. Oh man, it's a little bit of a buzzkill, but you know what? I don't care, because I have to say, over the past 5 to 7 years especially, Domino's, when some people say that and they go, oh my goodness, a chain pizza place? No way, man, I'm not doing that. Of course, we all know they had a good run in the, let's say, late 90s into the 2010s, where they kind of were the joke of pizza places and nobody was ordering from them. their stuff kind of tasted like trash, and there wasn't really that desire for people to say, you know what I could go for? No, people aren't looking to order trash. So at some point around, I guess, the beginning of the 2010s, they had seemingly this major overhaul. And wow, do they knock it out of the park? Their selections are so good. This is not a paid promotion, I swear to you. I'm just saying, if there is some type of business model as far as bouncing back and being able to attract people back to your product or service that someone should look at, it should be Domino's. Domino's Pizza, extremely impressed with how they were able to turn something that was successful, that ended up falling off, back into something that is a viable option that people want again. It's really a great story. I hope somebody does a documentary on this. Maybe there is one already. I don't know. If there is, please contact me and let me know. I would be more than happy to watch it. If you have, any kind of Domino's related story or business thing. But I'm going to have a bite of my pizza right now. Hold on one sec. Oh, man. That is good. A little extra saucy there. I like it. Nice and hot. Perfect spice distribution. Temperature is great. It's hot, but it's not too hot. That deserves another bite. See, don't judge. You could be eating lunch or dinner right now. I'm not judging you. Don't judge me. Hold on. Oh, man. That's good. I'm going to have to fold the box down, and I'll get back to that when we finish the show. You know, chain restaurants or chain food services, they're either a hit or miss these days. There's really no gray area. And when I say that I'm impressed with Domino's and the quality and the service, and when I say service, I'm also including their app, because I usually will order on the app. And it's so efficient. The drivers are so awesome. Much love going out to Domino's, because I can't say enough good things about them. Clearly, my stomach is ready to say more good things about this pizza, too. Anyways, there are other chains out there that they have rested on their legacy. And I'm not going to name names right now. I may have mentioned one or two in prior episodes, but you can't continue to just work off of your legacy. That never ends up well. It doesn't. Of course, we all like retro and flashback things to these concepts, these entities that have been around for so long, but that doesn't necessarily reflect the quality of today. It's really a shame to see some businesses that they've just become their brand only and not necessarily their product or their service. When you have a chain that says, well, we've been around for 60 years, 70 years, and they tout that as a reason for going, you have to say, okay, well, out of those 60 years, you were good for about 45 of them, which means for the past 15, you've been absolute crap. Is that really something that you want to continue to have your business be associated with and have customers say, you know what, if you heard that, I think I had a little belly noise there. Don't worry about me, all right? This is the magic of having pizza during complex context. Well, you don't want to have customers say, yeah, I know it's kind of abbreviated quality I'm going to get, but boy, I remember when such and such a place was good 20 years ago and we would go all the time. And ask yourself, if you're not doing the same thing now and feel the same way now, why are you continuing to give business? It doesn't make any sense. So I applaud Domino's for the fact that they were able to really take a look in the mirror, as we all should do sometimes anyways. They stepped back. They said, all right, what do we see in the mirror? And they said, you know what? We need a makeover. We know that we look good. We know that we taste good. We know that we are good. So they made steps to do that. And it's really a shame to see some of these places that want to tout these limited edition offerings, limited time, go get it at your favorite chain restaurant. Or, here's one of the flavors of the month here with a lot of chain places. We got that value meal. We got that $5 value meal. We have that $6 value meal for a limited time only. Cool. So you're concerned about my finances now, but only over the next 4 to 5 weeks. And then after that, it's back to, hey, not our problem. At the core of this, yes, there is a business to run. The base of your business should have its foundation always grounded in what is going to get the customer to not just get from you 1 time, 2 times, fleeting thoughts. Yeah, it seems okay. How are you going to attract the customer with repetition and with this premise of legitimate, genuine service? It really has been absent for so long. And chain places, it really is difficult. I know you could really get into a multitude of different factors as far as pay, flexibility with schedule, the, I guess, believability or the personal reflection of their product and services that you can relate to while you're there. It goes into all kinds of things. I do want to say, in putting a bow on this, Domino's, I am so impressed. Their products are delicious. Their service has been fantastic. I have not had a bad experience with talking with anybody if I go into the store or their delivery drivers. And this pizza is going to make me and my night just that much sweeter. And I hope you have the same available to you. So if you have one of those moments where you're in a pinch and you say, you know what, I can't make something right now, or I don't feel like going out to a restaurant. I want to get something that's kind of quick and easy and good. I hope you pick a choice that's going to accommodate everything that you want and more. Your senses, your satisfaction, your appreciation for having picked a good option. Those things should all be satisfied by the time you're done. And I know just in these past few bites, I got to take one more, man, because this thing is looking at me. Look at this box is going, hey, I'm right here. You need to eat me. Okay, Domino's Pizza, I'm going to eat you right now. Hold on. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's really good. So, make sure that when you make this kind of investment, that it's one that is going to leave you satisfied. I have this thing looking at me. I need to satisfy myself a little bit more with this pizza. We need to get to know each other. And with that, I want to thank you for taking the time, as always, to come back to Complex Context. We're looking forward to doing it again. And until we talk to each other, whether it's next episode or if you reach out on our X platform at Complex Context 1, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/complexcontext1, or on email, complexcontextshow@yahoo.com. I hope your week is as delicious as my pizza is right now. I'm Rob Impact. Thank you so much for your time and your listenership. I'm looking forward to 5-star reviews, feedback, ideas. Bring it. We'll come back again next time. You do what you do it often, do it well. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do, and you'll be doing all right. Take care.
Visit the show's website at complexcontext.podbean.com. Complex Context is a Mass Ed Media production.